Welcome back, Corey.
Yeah.
You know a little bit. Are you happy to just be back from this break?
Yeah. Not a break. I had a labrum surgery,
Right.
complete labrum repair, 9 acres. So yeah, it feels really good to be back.
Yeah. What was that? The injury suffered in the last fight, or was it something?
Yeah,
outside?
yeah. Suffered in the last fight, I guess. Yeah, tore, repaired. I wasn't gonna have it repaired. It was super sore, but I sneezed when I left the doctor's office, and my shoulder fell out of socket, and then popped back in. And I was like,
Okay.
all right. So I turned around and walked back in. I was like, I think I need to get it fixed. So he did. He scheduled it. 2 or 3 days later, I had it. That was in January, so it was like a month and a half after the fight. And then it's long, it's a long process of rehab. So 6 weeks of nothing, 6 weeks of like mobility, and then 6 weeks of strength and mobility, and then once a week therapy. And right at the day that they basically said like, hey, you can return back to competition, I'd started picking up my training. And then I got the call, hey, it's October 27th, too soon. And I said, nope, let's do it. So, and at that time I'd sparred, I'd wrestled live. Matt Lindland came out, and I'd trained with a couple of those guys, trained with a bunch of wrestlers, and I went live, and I was like, man, I'm ready to go. So I said, yep, let's commit. Sent me the contract. Boom, here we are.
So that's a legit story. You sneezed, and that was.
Sneezed when I left, dude, and my shoulder went gonk, gonk, and I was like, uh-oh, okay, I better get it done. Because that's what he asked. He said, has it dislocated? And I said, no, I don't think so. But a couple of times it felt like it was going to. Like in the fight when I would lock up on a shot and I would get stretched out. Like it was just like real, it was loose and wobbly. And it felt like I'd worked out on it, whether I did or not. Like it was sore and tired all the time. So, challenging to punch and move and lock up and tie up.
So that's far from your first injury. Was there ever a point where you thought, hey man, that's it, I gotta pack it in?
No, so that was in the 8 years I've been in the UFC, just over 8 years. That was the 7th surgery that I've been put under for, outside of like little lacerations and stuff. So like major surgeries. No, the wrist injury was rough because they had to do a couple of revisions, and it didn't take the first couple of times. So that one I questioned a little bit. I've been out for almost 2 years. I was like, I don't know if I have what it takes to compete, because people grow when you stop. And so I was just like, man, what should I do? The speaking, recovery speaking, motivational speaking is taking a bigger role. And I was like, I don't know. But I don't know, I prayed about it, man, and got the answer, surrounded myself with good people, my coaches, and they said, let's go back and get it. So I came back, and then I had a couple of great fights, and then this injury popped up, but I never questioned coming back from this injury. Not at all. I was ready, like, no doubt in my mind that I was coming back to compete.
Having had layoffs before then, there's no concern about ring rust or anything because you've been through it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Like the ring rust, I don't really believe in the ring rust itself in the competition. More so maybe like the exposure or a big crowd or like the lights or the interviews. Like this is the challenging part to keep together for me. But ring rust, I don't think so, because the way we train, you've got live rounds, you've got these partners, and I've been doing it. I mean, I figure since the age of like 6 or 7, minus the couple of years that I had the substance abuse and all those issues, there was like 2.5 to 3 years. Minus that, like I've got 26 years of mixed martial arts, except for the one season of T-ball that I had when I was like 7. But outside of that, I've got like 13 to 14,000 hours of mat time. So, and that's in boxing as an amateur, professional, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and then the last 29 or 30, how many ever fights I've had in mixed martial arts. So it's kind of like, I don't think there's ring rust. I think the whole experience kind of can be a shock, but I don't have that. So I'm not concerned with it.
So coming into Moncton and fighting Alex Garcia, he's an adopted Canadian, let's say, so he's going to have the hometown advantage. What are your thoughts on him as an opponent?
Well, there's been a couple of controversial decisions in my history, and one here in Canada. So my first thought wasn't that. It was just worry about what I need to do to come out and beat him. And I leave that up to my coaches. Rob Hanley and Mark Montoya. And so I leave that up to the coaches to game plan. But outside of that, like, I think that falls on the judging side. But if anything, it's more motivation to go out and finish him. So, yeah, the hometown advantage can be tricky sometimes, but there shouldn't be a hometown advantage if judges are doing their job correctly. So hopefully on that night, they can come out and stay focused on how the judging is supposed to be done, and hopefully they're competent in their job. My job is to be a professional mixed martial artist. My job is to show up at the gym for thousands and thousands of hours. My job is to stay focused, focus small, dream big, and stay in the moment. And their job is to do the same thing, but judge my fight and his fight fairly. So hopefully that happens, and it doesn't have to come down to this hometown advantage shit, you know? So, but outside of that, I have thought about it, but I didn't let it doesn't deter me from focusing on the goal, and the goal is to come out and beat Alex Garcia. So that's what my goal has been since I signed it 8 weeks ago.
He's been, throughout his UFC run, consistent, I guess you could say. It's been win-loss the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his last one, so you're expecting him to kind of come out of the gates hard for this one?
Maybe. You never know. I don't know what to expect out of fighters. I mean, I've fought, like, guys with wrestling backgrounds, and then they come out and strike the whole time. And then I fight with guys that, oh, you know, I knock people out, and then the whole time they try and wrestle, you know, or, you know, like the last couple, they kind of like, they went around the ring. So, and I've always forward lateral movement, lots of pressure, lots of punches, volume. You know, I got the nickname the Crusher from breaking pipe fittings, but like that's what I do is I try to crush people's will. I try to push them until they break, because like that's an elusive feeling when you feel somebody break, and you guys don't get to experience that, but I get to experience that, and that's one of those things that like drives me and motivates me is to 2 or 3 minutes into that fight, when you're in the fight, is just losing yourself in the fight and then pressuring that person, outstriking them, outworking them, out wrestling them, you know, just keep pushing, no matter what happens until you feel that. And like that's like, you want a little shot of adrenaline or you want to get a natural high, that's what I search for. So, you know.
It's that moment in the fight.
Yeah. Yep.
Really can't explain to people. Like it's tough, right?
Yeah, it's tough to explain, but like that's what I search for. So.
When was the last time you felt that?
I've felt people break. I don't know specifically one like moment, but I felt a few in the training camp where guys had like went like kind of wilted a little bit. So not necessarily just in fights, but it happens in training too, where you pressure guys and you go, oh, okay, I see what you're made of. I see, you know what I mean? And it's not like an egotistical thing but it helps with confidence for sure. It helps with confidence in your ability and your training. So, and I feel really good with that.
Speaking of recovery speeches, you were posting some videos recently where you're talking like really big arenas. So
yeah.
So how big a part of your life is that nowadays?
It's a big part of my life. It's my drive and my motivation. When I won the Ultimate Fighter, I dedicated my fight to all those people who are struggling. Primarily with substance abuse, but struggling in life, and me being a person in long-term recovery with 4,576 days of sobriety, like that's my motivation and my drive. You know, it's like drug addicts and alcoholics in recovery. If they use or drink, we can't accomplish anything. I can't accomplish anything. But with the removal of drugs and alcohol in a program of recovery, I've been able to accomplish incredible things. And so I was asked to speak by the officer who was responsible for me being alive, and a couple of engagements into, first was to law enforcement at the state capitol building in Utah, and then in front of a high school, and I had some kids come up after, and it moved me. I wasn't anticipating kids coming forward asking like, hey man, I need help, what do I do? And so I was able to use the platform that the UFC built me, the UFC fighter, the cauliflower ear, the beard, and it attracts those kids that are, you know, like I was, just a little wayward or a little on the edge, and they come up and they ask questions and they talk. So hundreds and hundreds of schools later, it's a big part of my life. I'm able to use my platform to help people. I'm able to use my platform to show people what recovery has done for me and make recovery look attractive and say, hey, listen, man, I've been able to accomplish a lot of these things without drugs and alcohol in my life. So speaking is a big part. It's my drive and my motivation in life. It's given me everything of any value in my life. When I first got sober, I didn't have anything. I had lost relationships with my family. I had no more friends. The 2 friends that I had both died of accidental drug overdoses. I'd lost everybody close to me. Lots of people that I grew up with. My girlfriend left me. I was alone. And now, not only did I reunite with that girl, my high school sweetheart, but I've been married, and the day after the fight, we'll celebrate 10 years of marriage. I have 2 amazing children, both boys, 11 and 8, who've never seen me drunk or loaded. I have a home. I've been in the UFC for 8 goddamn years. Like, I think the average career length is like 1.9 years and 3 fights. So I've been blessed with this incredible career. I've made it through 7 surgeries, completely non-narcotic. And I'm able to tell that to kids so that they don't take the pills that I took when I was in high school, get stuck on it, and end up dead on heroin or fentanyl-laced heroin 18 months after high school graduation, which is what happened to me. So I'm able to honestly speak from a place where I've experienced it. I'm not a cop standing up there. I'm not the principal standing up there. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not DEA. I'm telling you because I've been homeless and I've been strung out on heroin. I'm telling you that I accomplished these things without drugs and alcohol, and I've been able to make it through all these events in my life without the use of drugs and alcohol.
Does that give you confidence knowing that probably nothing that's going to happen on the octagon is going to be any harder than what you've already been?
I think so. I mean, I didn't plan that, but I've been through some hard things. And like there's like going through the weight cut tonight and tomorrow, you get drawn out. It's tough, right? And I always sit back and I think like, while I'm sitting there sweating hot, don't want to cut any more weight. I'm like, man, this is a lot better than coming off of heroin, you know? So I say those things in my head, you know, and every once in a while to my coaches or people around me, they know, you know, I'll crack jokes like that. But it is serious. It's a lot better than being homeless, no food, no place to sleep, stuck out in cold weather like this, and strung out on heroin and no way to get more. So I'm like, man, this is actually hey, there's an end to this. When I make weight, I can eat, you know? But yeah, I think it helps me get through those situations, the challenges, and allows me to be the person that my higher power wants me to be, which is doing my best.
And speaking of hundreds and schools that you've been to, so does that not only give you motivation, but does it also like add a little bit of pressure? Because you know that all these children are probably watching you and wanting you to succeed and everything.
No, I don't think it adds pressure. It does give me more motivation, though, more power, more drive, but not added pressure. I think the pressure comes from myself. I'm hard on myself and easy on others, so I think probably I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to pressure like that. But if people really care about people, all they care is that they do their best, and I know that. And so as long as I go out and do my best, I'm okay with that. And it's really none of my business what you think, or the 12,000 students that I spoke to last Friday. It's like they'll support me to support me. So no extra pressure. But in that case, I didn't get into this business to lose. I came out to find a solution and to win, and I've trained that way. I did the majority of my camp out in Denver with a whole bunch of guys at Factory X. So things have been really, really good. Small changes in the training camp, and little things end up making the big differences, I think.
Do you think moving forward in 2019, barring any injuries or setbacks, we'll see you in the octagon a little bit more often?
I think so. Yeah, bearing injuries. That's the only thing that's ever kept me out. But yeah, I think you will. I found a good stride in this camp and like a breath of fresh air. I've got a bunch of killers at Factory X and training partners, and then under Rob Hanley in Salt Lake City, and I just like, you know, it's like, it's been really, really nice. I feel really well, and I feel really confident. So, and I feel healthy, which is nice. So, it's really nice.
Score.
All right.
Thanks.
We good?